Or Carlos Correa would have been a little bit better in that spot instead. Maybe the team would have gotten a little further, or maybe not further, but maybe the team would have performed better. Maybe the odds of a championship were higher if they'd done that and just gotten the known good quantity instead of trying to find a cheap bridge to the potential future. I don't know, but it feels like a pretty safest guess to me. But either way, this is not a team that really makes their big splashes are fewer and further between now.
Yeah.
And I think if there is a big splash this offseason, it's going to be Judge one way or the other.
Speaking of big splashes, Bruce Bochy,
literally, if he dives headfirst into a pool, he creates a tsunami. That is a big splash coming right there.
I like that hire though, right?
I get it and I don't get it.
What do you not get about it?
So to start, I get it because Bruce Bochy is the kind of guy you bring in when you're serious about winning. In the same way that when the Astros hired Dusty Baker, when the Mets hired Buck Showalter, when you bring in these veteran guys with championship experience who know how to handle a clubhouse and where they are known quantities all the way through, what kind of manager they're going to be, what their tendencies are, how they operate. There's not going to be any of these, they're not going to be any growing pains, or at least not the same kind that there would be when you do, compared to Texas' last manager, Chris Woodward, where I think the expectation or the hope was he will grow along with the young players on this team, and together they will all kind of learn and develop and kind of make this core unit. I think with Bochy, it's more like, no, we're not ready. We don't want to deal with manager growing pains anymore. We don't want to deal with someone who's learning on the fly. We don't want to deal with someone who may or may not be able to project authority in the clubhouse the way we need. We just want a guy who players like, who is well respected, who knows how to manage and win in the postseason, who knows how to manage and win in the regular season. What I don't get about it is Texas isn't there yet to me at this point.
They're skipping steps though. They're just
my thing. They're skipping ahead to the point where they are a championship contender. Yeah. Texas is not a championship contender. If Texas goes out and signs Aaron Judge and trades for Pablo Lopez or Sonny Gray and does five other things on top of that, okay, sure. Then we can start to talk about Texas as a real championship contender.
But should we assume that they're going to be aggressive again this winter? I think you don't do this unless you're going to be aggressive again.
I think that's a safe bet because I think what Bochy's hire represents is a projection of the image the Rangers want, which is we are serious, we're going to win, we're going to contend, which means we have to do something in the offseason again, too. It's not just Seager and Semien and John Gray. It's we got to do more. The problem is, I am all for that. I am all for teams deciding that they want to be better, that they want to be contenders. I have no problem with this, at least on a philosophical level. It just doesn't really line up with where Texas is on an actual roster level. There's still a lot of holes on that team. They do not have a good bullpen. They do not have a good rotation. Half their lineup didn't really do anything last year. Their farm system is good and producing some pretty good pieces and is getting better. And they're going to have the 1-2 addition of Jack Leiter and Kumar Rocker relatively soon because both of those guys are going to be probably major league ready by as early as I think midpoint of next season. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, again, just the fact that there is a way, way better team within their own division on top of it that is about to go play in its 4th World Series in the last 6 years.
Yeah. They're just hey, they're about to fire Sink and Dusty Baker.
Maybe they'll hire away James Click or something.
Yeah, but Click. Yeah, excuse me.
I don't know. I think it's a perfectly sensible hire in a managerial sense in that I don't think Bochy since retiring has I don't think this is a Tony La Russa thing where it's guy coming out of deep freeze where everyone looks around and goes, what exactly made this sensible? I think Bochy is a very sensible hire who was still managing very well toward the very end with the Giants. This wasn't someone who looked like he was out of his element by the end. Yeah. It just suggests to me that either Texas thinks it is way better than it is, which is not ideal going into is not ideal, or the Texas plans to get very, very busy this offseason, which sure, but I don't know. I'm curious to see where this goes because the reality is Texas still has, I think, a ways to go to be a contender. And again, they have the best team in baseball sitting in their division, or at the very least, the best team in the American League sitting in their division, ready to mess them up if they so much as try to go for the crown. So,
well, I think it's probably 67. Bochy, I'm going to guess. Because, what's interesting is I thought he would make more sense in Miami. I would have guessed.
No, I don't. I think Miami, and I know we're going to talk about Skip Schumacher, but I think Miami is much better for a first-time manager. For someone younger, for someone who is more, and especially too because I think Miami wouldn't want to pay for a guy of Bochy's caliber.
Yeah.
I think whatever we don't know his contract details, obviously, but it's a safe bet that Bruce Bochy is going to make more next season than Skip Shoemaker is, or Schumacher rather.
Is it Shoemaker or Schumacher?
I think it's. I mean, the pronunciation I've always heard for that last name is Schumacher, so I'm going with Schumacher. But Shoemaker's. I mean, his last name is literally Shoemaker. So
that's what I'm saying. Like, do you think it actually is Shoemaker, but he just didn't like it and he got picked on a bunch? Shoemaker growing up,
look,
and
I just like that there's a manager named Skip. It's perfect.
Yeah.
Hey,
not
Skip.
a lot of. You would think there's more Skips.
You would think so, but I was. How did? And this is a tangent, but how did Skip become the managerial like
Skipper
nickname? Yeah,
yeah.
Delete that. Delete all of that.
I was like Skipper.
No. My sleep schedule the last few weeks has been very complicated. We'll get that in post.
I'll get a Fangraphs article on it.
But no, I think Bochy I think it makes sense for Bochy to come back with a team that is either close to championship contention or feels like it can contend championship wise. And I think in that respect too, like Bochy must feel like the Rangers are going to do what needs to be done to get to that position. Otherwise, why come out of what I'm sure is a very cushy retirement? And
they had a plan for him. I'm guessing they told him that this is going to be an aggressive, like we're going for it.
Yeah, I mean, because I think you're right. Because otherwise, it makes no sense for him to join them. If the plan is just to run it back with the same group that was there next year, or if that was there last year rather, then why would Bruce Bochy leave retirement?
Like Bud Black just being like, all right, I guess I'll just hang out and get the vibes in Colorado, and y'all don't really have to build anything around me. And
Bochy, I think in that sense, Bochy to me feels like what Bob Melvin was for San Diego, which is again just the experience hand at the rudder.
But San Diego was so much closer. The problem with that is like it was a great hire by San Diego, but like San Diego we talked about it.
And
like they're right there.
And that's why ultimately I feel like it's a strange hire given where Texas currently is, which is to say not good enough. But I think you're right in that Bochy wouldn't be here unless there were plans to do more. And it makes no sense on Texas's part either to do this unless there are plans to do more. So I think hiring Bochy is probably a really good sign that Texas is going to be very involved this offseason, one way or the other, be it trades, free agency, whatever it happens to be. And again, like we talk about mystery teams for Aaron Judge. I don't even think Rangers are a mystery team here. I think they make perfect sense for him. They have the money to do it. They can obviously sell him on the idea of being part of being the veteran leader of one of the veteran leaders of a very strong team, give him another shot at going against the Astros if that's something he cares about for whatever. It's at least somewhat closer to home for him. I mean, not really, but it's closer than New York. So yeah, I would not be surprised to see
if he picks the Rangers, it's a money thing purely. Like that's just like they offered something crazy.
I can see that. I mean, because well, if you want to divide it, like the Yankees are the stay at home sentimental option. The Giants are the go-home sentimental option. The Dodgers are the money and title option. And then Texas and whoever else is there, assuming that they're not a Dodgers-level team, is just the pure money option. So yeah, the four quadrants of Aaron Judge's free agent decision-making. Yeah, I think you're right. Texas is firmly I care about the money and the money first and foremost.
Yeah.
And if we happen to win, that's great. But otherwise, man, at least I'm getting paid.
Yeah. Which hey, look, you got to do what you got to do. I won't hate on either of his decisions there.
No, man, get paid. If that's what he cares about, get paid. For me at least, based on the way Aaron Judge has spoken about his time with New York and with the Yankees and what he feels like his priorities are, I would be very surprised if he ends up taking the Chris Bryant route and just taking whatever money he can get from whichever team offers it. He seems like very, very. He's been very, very emphatic about how the mark of success in a season is winning a championship. And I think more than anything, he wants a title.
Who do you think of the big four shortstops we talked about would be willing to play second base for the Mariners?
Why wouldn't they be playing shortstop for the Mariners?
Well, that's what he said. He said that he's looking for
Jerry Dipoto said this?
Yes. Jerry Dipoto said his, quote, great preference this offseason would be to land a shortstop that would like to play second base.
Why would you say that out loud? Why? Why would you make it known that you value J.P. Crawford more than any of those four guys?
But to be fair, Crawford's awesome. And Crawford's been good for them.
Crawford's fine. He's a very good defensive shortstop who can hit every now and again. All four of those guys available are good defensive shortstops who can hit all the time. Like there's no. I assume that's just Dipoto being nice to J.P. Crawford, and that if they were to sign one of those guys, there would be a conversation. But hey, J.P., how do you like second base? Because. What are we doing here? Are you really going to sign Trey Turner and move him to? I mean, I don't know. Maybe maybe depending on the metrics, they think a guy like Turner or maybe I don't think Bogarts. Maybe a guy like Turner or no, because putting Carlos Correa at second base is a waste of his arm.